I bring greetings from the PSAs around the province. There are 32 PSAs, and I'm sure many of you are a part of a PSA. And the PSAs want to congratulate you for being election contacts, local election contacts, because we want you to go out not only advocating for education as an issue, but in specific terms, part of that message around having specialists in every school and in every classroom. Now, in my context, every teacher is special. We all would acknowledge that, every person in this room. And for the definition of specialist, let's just simply go with the idea of those teachers perhaps have specialized training in a specific discipline and perhaps aren't in front of 30, 40, God help us, 50 students in a class. So we're talking about the teacher-librarians, the English language learners. It used to be ESL, now it's ELL. We're talking about Aboriginal educators, school counselors, music teachers, middle school specialists. So my hope in my time is to actually give you some framing questions that you could perhaps use in your local election contact role. So 1,500 lost in the last 11 years. And just to give you a sense of how many, I'm going to suggest that you just mentally memorize this, or to be honest, contact me after today, and I'd be happy to help you with your messaging out in your local election contact role. 277 librarians, teacher librarians, gone. 106 school counselors, gone. The worst hit, special ed. Half of the 1,500, 737. Shameful. ESL, we are not getting more monoculture. If anything, we're becoming more distributed in our language and backgrounds. 328. Aboriginal education, only 10. But about an 8% decrease, if you think about the context. The cumulative effect of this, 1,500 less. As you heard earlier, prior to 2001, this was in legislation. We had it. We had ratios. That's how Claremont had 2 teacher librarians. And now they're removed. We all know that the services to students drop the higher the ratio of student-educator-ratio, SER, right? You've probably heard about that all weekend. And we want to make that a part of the election issue. And I would encourage you, when you think not just of that being smaller classrooms, it also relates to specialist teachers. A school without a library, teacher librarian rather, is not much of a school. Especially in those rural communities where accessing a book or a library, or a bookstore rather, isn't going to be the easiest thing to do. In 2009, 2010, 1 year, the teacher librarians of this province and their parents, let's not forget them, raised over $1.2 million to purchase books. That's impressive to me, and unfortunately, they had to do that to make sure that their teacher librarian roles could be fulfilled in adequate libraries. So when we talk about this issue, especially the teacher librarians, let's think about the rural community. Yeah, maybe you have one in your school still. Maybe you're like my school where you've gone from 2 to 1 and that's enough. It's not enough. Teachers like myself, who've only been a teacher for 10 years, need to be made aware that we used to have these ratios, that it was much better. And that's why there's a bit of a disconnect with us younger teachers sometimes. We didn't know how good it was. So talk to your younger teachers about these ratios. The fact that we deprive students of learning assistance time with a learning assistance teacher to remediate some of these skill deficiencies, these are the vulnerable students in the first place. So if they don't get that time with that specialist to work with them, they actually get even further behind. And they disengage more from school. So you'd say, okay, well, the students have declined in this province the last 10 years, and there has to therefore be some cuts. And sure, the public kind of gets that, and I would say that's the manipulation. But with all the downsides of students, the actual amount of students being designated is going up. So you've taken 750 teachers out of this specialist role as being a learning assistance specialist in a time when we need them more than ever. And what are your plans for specialist teachers? Well, what's a specialist teacher? just to finish off, in the last 10 years, I want to give you some percentages that, again, statistics are all difficult to take, but just maybe one of them will stick for you when you talk to your local MLA candidate. Library services in the last 11 years, 31% less teachers. Counselors, 12% gone. Special ed, 19% gone. ELL, I didn't get to talk about theirs because they didn't give me any specific data, but 33.7% fewer ESL teachers. And last, just again, but because it's a small number, we're talking a lot of teachers, 5.3% reduction in Aboriginal education, when there are thousands more Aboriginal students in our system than there were 10 years ago. So I would like you, during the month of March, as you get ready for your election campaign, to maybe send out some questions. What do you think of specialist ratios? What would you do in your role as an MLA to ensure your school had a librarian, a teacher librarian, a counselor, a special needs teacher, an ELL teacher, Aboriginal education? But don't think that it's only those 5 big ones. It's also the middle school teachers, the music teacher, the strings programs, the foods, everything that you might think of as a specialist area. They have all suffered in the last 11 years, and we want to get them back. So thank you for listening, and thank you so much for being a local election contact for this election. We really want to work with you as PSAs.